Right. Welcome to our session around our product updates when it comes to the value components and our integration framework. We will discuss around what we have achieved with our products during the last year. We will also talk a little bit about what we are working on at the moment and what is in the near future. We have all of these persons part of this presentation today. It will be Anders, Piyush, and Sandra will take on the value components part, and Eric and Johannes will talk about the integration framework. So I think without further ado, I think we will just start then with the value components.
All right, thank you, Marcus. First, a little bit about the state of the product, the status updates. Where are we? So depending on how you count, there is a birthday. So the first lines of code was written already 20 years ago. Maybe we productized it 1 year later or so, but the first lines of code were written, and it's great to see also that it's more relevant than ever, and we have the biggest team ever working on improving these components every day. So we have 4 teams in 4 offices, 1 in Sweden and 3 in India. And in total, we have more than 300,000 happy users worldwide using these components every day together with their 3DEXPERIENCE implementations.
Amazing.
High-level overview, what have we been working on the past year? We will go in more in detail on each and every of these focus areas. So just briefly, we have spent a lot of effort into giving more power to the end users, allowing them to define their UIs themselves directly in the application. Define UIs, share with others without the need of ordering something from a developer and have it deployed later on. Do it directly yourself. We also have put a lot of effort into this technology transition. Before, we have had these 2 different technological versions of our components, the classic and the Helium ones, and the new technology is getting good enough to actually make the switch, which will allow us to put the full team on 1 track and double our speed in development moving forward. Workflows is also a focus component. It's a gap in the standard solution where we find a really good space here. To guide users in the standard processes without actually changing them, to shorten lead times and make it easier to work with. It's very clear also that DS, they are moving, every release, they are moving more and more into the new technology, 3D dashboard, the widget-based UIs. And here we have made it possible to bring your favorite configurations that you have already invested in with 3D Space and bring that over to this new technology, and also to create new configurations. We have had also a bigger focus on developing business apps, or we call it the launch pads. So we use it to pre-package some of the solutions for you. And it's also important internally as we have a real business or use case driven product development. So we have real use cases that we want to solve, and then we adapt and develop the product to support that in a good way, in contrast to just looking at each feature individually. Having the full overview on everything we have been working on the past year, it's quite a lot here. I'm not going into the details, but the circle parts we will look into a bit deeper. So the technology transition, the 3D dashboard, user-defined UIs, workflow, use case driven, and also if we have time, have a look at the new feature, making it possible to real-time compare structures as you modify them. Also worth mentioning here, we will not look into that more in details, but we have also added 2020X support for all of our components and making it Microsoft Edge, also a supported browser. And the shift to 3D dashboard have made it possible to reuse more also from out of the box. So with the 3D dashboard technologies, you would find more of a separation between the front end and the back end, and having it all made available through services. So we have made it possible to configure and reuse these services in a good way. So you don't have to replicate and tie your configurations directly to the data model, but more to reuse these services in a good way.
So you will somehow then decrease the kind of time it will take to put something that the business wants into a productive system.
Yeah, implementation will be quicker, and also I think maintenance. So let's say that there is a change in the data model between versions. It's not that common that it happens, but it happens. So the idea is that the service is hopefully more static over time and will not change. So if you configure something against the service, the data model behind the scenes can change how much it
so we will be more future-proof going forward.
Short reminder, why are we doing this? Well, all products are unique, and so are product development processes. And if one of your everyday processes is not optimized to the standard solution, it has a very big impact on the overall productivity, especially if you start calculate the total earnings or productivity loss on your full team. So you have an example there, a 5-minute daily time saving in the 1,000-user system will equal total of 10 full-time employees, which is quite huge. Also, I think it's a lot about adoption and user acceptance. And all of this made possible through configuring products instead of doing your own customizations in the system. And this will have a big impact on the overall lifetime costs, not at least when it comes to upgrades over time. As you do something once and then it will work with the next version. If you do it yourself with the customization, you would most likely have to do it over again to also work with the next version of the base platform. Okay, so first, focus area. The user-defined UIs. I think this is a major thing. This is a huge step. And why do I think it's such a game changer? So looking at the dawn of PLM back 20 plus years when the first web-based UIs came to Matrix, we used to adapt the platform to your needs, to your specific design processes through customization. So it was a waterfall-like project setup where you had some key users explaining what they needed to some business consultants and a PLM team that wrote the specification and maybe shipped it to some developer somewhere. And they did a full customization, including JSP pages, JPO, schema, name it. Everything was involved. And then there was a deployment in your system maybe half a year later. Quite early, we reached this milestone when value components were created. And all of a sudden, you could meet this demand and adapt the platform to your specific design processes and your business needs through configuration. And this made it possible to do more with a smaller development team. You were able to shorten your delivery cycles and work more agile. You wouldn't have to do a full delivery anymore. You could just deploy some configuration files and have the thing done. And we are approaching a new milestone. So the next milestone will be this user-defined UIs. That I think is a really big thing, because the end user could now do most of the things themselves directly in app. So there will not be a big project to get the simple things in there. There will be no lead times. You could instead incrementally improve over time. Looking at a chart like this, I think a lot of the UIs is not that complex. A lot of the things that you want to do is like add a column, add a chart, no complex calculations or anything. So there's a lot of area on the left side of this graph, and we have pushed the line a bit to the right there, allowing end users to do more themselves. And then we have introduced kind of a new role, what was probably previously your PLM team, that will be able to do the half complex things to support the users in a much shorter time without writing the specifications and ordering that from some developer. And I would say developers will still be needed. You will probably have some very special calculations that you would like to have in some column somewhere, or very special complex cases. That will still be there, but it will be a much smaller part of your UIs will be need to have a developer doing it. So looking at the benefits here, what will this mean? I think there will be much shorter lead times. If you at the moment of need identify something, okay, for this project, I need to see this data, and with the current UIs, I need to click through and open every single view to get into each and every object. Then you would have to explain that to the PLM team that would have to order that. So now you can just do it yourself. So no long lead times, you can do it when needed. You don't have to wait for a service window or a deployment window in a weekend, a few months from now, either to get it in there. You do it directly live. And you would use developers and probably buy services for only the complex things. So I think to summarize the benefits, I think you will get better UIs to a smaller cost.
In addition to that, maybe, we will talk more about that in our ending session today when we talk about our directions and roadmap. But one of our visions also where we would like to take our value components is also to be able to enrich the Dassault cloud, which more or less will mean that we need to replace all of these file-based configuration with data object-based configurations. So this is the path that we have decided to take. And I think that opens up a lot of possibilities, not just for the cloud hosting, but also for the on-premise solutions, of course, when you can have, admin users, maybe on the IT side or on the business side, creating and distributing different views, dashboard widgets to different user groups.
An enabler. All right, taking a little bit closer look on this, I mentioned it already. There are two roles here related. It's the end user himself, the business user, the engineer. He would do simple things directly in UI. He will be able to define and create his own widgets, and he will be able to create his own tables based on the data that is there. So the admin or developer do not have to predefine the column. He can create it from scratch directly in UI, inline, and he can share it with others. User will be able to accept others' shared stuff as well. Then we have the new kind of role. This is the admin user. This is probably someone on the PLM team, maybe someone on support. He will do the thing that is half complex. He will be able to do everything that is made through configuration today, what is not Java code. So he will be able to do that directly from an admin UI. So really making this whole cycle much shorter. And then he will distribute that to a user or a user group. So looking at it, what will all make this possible? We are moving the same format we today have in file in XML. We will move that into the database, and we will connect that with different persons, making it all possible. And if you look at it, you have a quite similar journey with the CAD files as you moved it from your file system into 3DEXPERIENCE. The kind of CAD file itself have the same functionality, but you also put some other capabilities on top, the possibility to control access, revisioning, and so on. So we will have a quick demo here. So first scenario is the end user. This is the business user, the engineer. He or she finds this need in the application. There is an attribute missing that he needs, and he can just sort it himself. He doesn't have to call someone who will order something from a developer and have it delivered much later. He can just do it at the moment of need. So Sandra will take us through it.
Yes, so here we see a user creating his own column. And the values available here are based on the data in this table. So he is able to create a new column like this and also move it around in the table if he wants to.
Nice.
Furthermore, he will create a chart widget. So he fills in this form, he gives the widget a name, and also selects the data source for it, and he wants a pie chart this time, and then he selects an expression. And like this, he has created his own chart widget, and he can move it around as he likes. Okay.
This is super cool. No need to explain why you need this and build a business case around it and order something from a partner. You can just do it yourself in the product. Second use case, a bit more complex. So this business user, he wants something more advanced, something that is not there selectable already. And he calls support or the PLM team, asks them to add it, and they can add it themselves without buying the service or without the help of a developer and a deployment later on. Just do it at the moment of need.
Yeah, so here we see the user trying to create a third chart, but he cannot find the data source for it. So he calls the PLM team or maybe the administrator, and this administrator will create a dataset for him from this simple form. He adds the configurations, and once it's created, he is able to share this new data source with the user, like this. And then back at the user, he can try to create the widget once again, and he will directly find the data source created for him. So here he will create this chart with a new data source.
I mean, yeah, this is a game changer. I mean, just imagine how long this would have taken to really calling the support and putting it in the list to be prioritized and implemented.
So shorten the lead times from months to just almost instant.
So the administrator role will then have a specific UI to be able to manage these kind of configurations, if I understood correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw that UI there also implemented in Helium. So it's capable of configuring itself, which is kind of cool as well. And today you saw there was XML. So our plan is also to make a graphical interface to build the data sets using a graphical editor. All right, technology transition, the second focus area. Piyush, are you there?
Yep, thanks, Andres. So technology transition towards Helium. When it comes to value component, we plan to merge Helium and Classic, or rather transition towards Helium. Helium will be preferred for all new implementation. And why do we want to do that? Twice the development speed, as Andres said earlier. 4 teams will work on 1 component instead of 2. Helium is a better fit for 3D dashboard. It's built on latest front-end technologies. It has a faster development cycle. Helium configurations can be reused across platforms. So same configuration can be used in 3D Space, 3D Dashboard, and standalone Helium, obviously. And we want to give one clear choice. Maybe you can click the next slide. Yeah. And how do we do that? We will adapt Helium to work well with 3D Space. As you can see in the video, Helium form is launched from Global Action Bar. And the look and feel of the form is very much similar to 3D Space because of the blue theme, which gets auto-applied on all the Helium components when they are loaded in 3D Space. And this also leverages the existing capabilities of Helium form, like show and hide of sections, autocomplete handler. Other Helium components like dashboard widgets also fit well with Classic. Here you can see a Helium widget with eBOM, and its look and feel is again similar to 3D Space. This is a Helium search powered by Exalead, and we are using it to create a BOM. And it also gives us all the configurability and the usability of existing Helium widgets, like resizing of the widgets, pagination, and each of these is persisted for a user. It also interacts well with standard Classic features like opening an object in a side panel. So it can interact with the other components. Similar to 3D Space, we also have a white theme for 3D Dashboard. As you can see, this is the same Helium widget now getting opened from 3D Dashboard. And its look and feel is now very much similar to 3D Dashboard because of the white theme. And it also listens to the search, which was performed out of the box. And the bottom 2 widgets have subscribed to the top one. So as you click on the top one, the bottom 2 widgets gets loaded. And the built-in actions can also be performed. So we have tried to fill the obvious gaps in Helium with respect to Classic. Going forward, we will be responsive in filling other gaps. Most new functionalities will be developed in Helium. Classic will still be maintained and supported. Over to you, Andres.
Thank you, Piyush. Comments? Let's go on.
Let's go on.
All right. Yeah. Oh, this little arrow here. Just if we wanted to highlight one thing, we from now on we recommend all new implementations to take place in Helium or the new technology, and including 3D Space. One key takeaway from this slide.
Yeah.
3D Dashboard. All right. This is the third topic or focus area of the last year. So it's fully supported now by the value components. We have the new technology implementation, Helium, which is a true Helium or true widget technology, putting all the front end directly in the widget. We also have Classic, that is wrapping a 3D space, allowing you to bring over your investments in classic TVC configuration so far into the new world. So you can reuse it without any modification at all. And of course, you can also configure the new configurations using the Helium configuration format and leverage what we also saw with the user-defined UIs directly in 3D Dashboard, which is really interesting. We have a lot of integration points with 3D Dashboard with these widgets. You can drag, drop, search things from the top search panel there. You can publish and subscribe between widgets. You can use the built-in 6W tags or free text search to filter down the contents of widgets. And you can also use it to cross-highlight with 3D viewers. To develop this, we have used our business apps. So all of that we have also made available. We will see the business apps here in action in this video, but more about that in a separate slide. But here we will see we just dropped the value component widget. We select what we want to display, and there it's a list with all available configurations for that typical view. You will use the search to drop an object into the widget and load it with data. Then you're good to go. Just use and leverage all value component capabilities from inside of 3D Dashboard. Here you have the classic TVCs on a project schedule, allowing you to format rich content, enriching it with visuals, drill down, filter out what you're looking for. Here we have the product structure enriched with TVCs. So we drop a physical product here, enriching the standard product structure editor with rich visualizations, and consolidate and add a lot of related data to the same table. So the idea is that you should be able to work more use cases without leaving the view within one view. And the last little use case here, we would find using the end user configuration directly in 3D Dashboard.
It looks nice, meaning more or less that we are fully compatible with the 3D Dashboard when it comes to our components and launchpads.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Workflow. So big focus area. We have improved overall usability and look and feel. We have added some functionality. Most interesting here, I would say, it's the task-specific UIs, allowing you to create a task-driven UI. So the user can get all information he needs directly from the inbox, and also make it possible to act on that without navigating too much in the standard pages. Let's have a look here in the video, summarizing all of this. Improved preview, assigning users. We will have these suggestions, making it easier to assign. Here we see some general UI improvements, making it easy to spot the contextual tasks. It's also clickable, allowing you to take you down directly to the task content. We also have the full automation history in the history thread, making it possible also to go back to define step when rejecting. Here we see the end user configurability, allowing end users to make versions of your workflow configurations. So also adding end user configurability to the workflows. And we can see how you can then start a workflow based on your end user configure one. And this is the biggest thing I would say, allowing the user to get all information and act directly from the inbox. You don't need to navigate away and go through 10 clicks or so in the application. You can do it all tailor-made a view for the user here. I already mentioned launchpads. So you probably recognize TVX. That's technical examples showcasing all capabilities of the value components, but it doesn't really make sense for business. So we have made more or less the same thing, but we have focused on making something that really makes sense for business in real life. And we have packaged that into something we call launchpads. It's available also for free if you have value components, and it's available for 3D dashboard and 3D space. So here we can see EBOM navigation with consolidated views, adding more information in the same view. Same thing with the product structure. We already saw the video. We also have schedule management, change management, including workflow configurations to work well with the change process. Can overview the full, most complex process in one view. And this is all made available now from products.technia.com. So you can just download the configurations from there. Documentation will soon be available as well. Do we have time for this?
I think we actually will have to skip it. I have kind of miscalculated maybe a little bit. I thought we should be ahead, but I think that we are exactly on our last timing here. So I think we actually have to hand it over to the integration team. I mean, Eric and Johannes. Eric?
Right, thank you. My name is Eric Wikström. I am the product owner and head architect for the integration framework. I will give you a quick status update of the integration framework. So, the integration framework is today a very powerful and mature tool. It actually celebrates its 8-year anniversary. And the main goal with the product is to be the first choice when the need for integration to or from the 3DEXPERIENCE platform appears. And another goal is to provide very flexible configuration options in order to reduce the implementation time for your integration use cases, but at the same time be flexible when it comes to the need for customizations to provide extensible extension points. Let's look into the focus areas for this year. So during this year, we have spent a lot of time helping new customer implementations to fill some smaller gaps and do some minor improvements to the product. We have also spent a lot of effort in the connector concept. Last year, we released the ERP connector, which was a success. This year, we have continued with something we call ALM or Jira Connector. This will be presented in more details very soon. But just for just a recap of what the connector means, it is a pre-packaged solution with configurations both in the 3DEXPERIENCE platform as well as in the integration framework and the target system. And we try to address the top common use case scenarios that you have when you integrate with that target system.
Okay, thank you. So we continue on the same topic. As we have heard from Eric already, the integration framework has been developed for 15 years and is today a very capable and mature product. And to further accelerate the adoption rate and to allow for integrations to be even more quickly deployed to new and additional systems, we are investing a lot in developing dedicated connectors, including enterprise systems like SAP. And today, I'm also very happy to announce our offering for Jira, our 3DEXPERIENCE to Jira Connector, which is brand new. and the prepackaged solution to integrate with the best-in-class ALM solution. So let's start with a small video.
Software is rapidly becoming an important part of many products in a car. For example, the amount of software code has grown exponentially. Very often, ALM and PLM systems are not connected. This can lead to misalignment between.
I'm not sure the sound is shared.
Okay, I might have missed that one. It was too quick.
It's a very powerful platform for PLM, while Jira from Atlassian is a market leader in ALM. With our 3DEXPERIENCE and Jira Connector, we now connect PLM with ALM, enabling a continuous flow of information between all disciplines. The connector allows you to start an issue with one system and then keep track of the issue across both systems, regardless of where the issue is created. With our connector, we can handle change management, requirements management, task management, and issue management. For example, you can start an issue with 3DEXPERIENCE and publish the issue to Jira. This means you are in full control of the workflow. The connector can be configured according to your specific business processes. When it comes to requirement management, a requirement in 3DEXPERIENCE become a story in Jira. You can also synchronize attachments and features and implementations. If you want to know more about this or even see a live demo, don't hesitate to contact us.
Okay, I'm sorry that the sound didn't come through on this one. We had to make a very quick change of presenter, so it didn't properly work, but I will explain you very shortly about how this solution works. So to give some background, software is very rapidly becoming the most important part of a lot of the products that we use every day. And if you take the automotive industry and a car as an example, traditionally the main development effort has been on developing the physical parts and components that you need to build the car. In a classical car, the number of parts would be around 30,000 typically. With electrification, these numbers are actually dropping, so it's a lot fewer parts in a car, modern car today, than it was a few years ago, because of the reduced complexity of the electrical drivetrains. On the other hand, the introduction of very advanced driver support systems, autonomy, entertainment systems drive the amount of software to grow very quickly. And today, a typical car or a modern car has around 200 million lines of software code in it. Some analysts think that before we reach the fully autonomous car, we will approach 1 billion lines of code. And today, if you look at the development effort, the typical split of effort between hardware and software development for a car is 90 to 10. Within a 10-year time frame, we will probably see almost a 50-50 split. So the importance of software and the effort to develop software will grow very rapidly. And despite this fact, what we see in our customer base and in the industry is that many companies, or most companies, manage hardware development and software development as quite disconnected and independent disciplines, even though it all contributes to the same product. The difference is also in development methodology and different requirements for the tools that you need to use, also typically result in using different and dedicated platforms, like the 3DEXPERIENCE from Dassault for PLM and hardware development, and Jira from Atlassian for application lifecycle management and to managing the software development process. With our new 3DX to Jira connector, you can get the best of both worlds while still maintaining the digital continuity, bridging the gap between these disciplines and these solutions. And I will explain a bit more and show you how we can make that happen. So from the beginning, we have developed templates to support some typical use cases within the areas of change management, requirements management, task management, and issue management. And I will show you a small example what an information flow might look like between these systems. So switching to this view, you typically start out with having your product definition, your product structure in 3DEXPERIENCE. Let's say that you have some issue arising, but you don't really know whether that's hardware or software. In this example, it's an engine control unit. You typically start by raising an issue in 3DEXPERIENCE. As soon as you send that issue or launch the life cycle of that issue, a message will be sent to Jira, and a corresponding issue in Jira, in this case a bug, will be created. Then as a software engineer, typically you will detail this issue, you will process it, you might add subtasks and so on. You will drive it through the workflow and life cycle, and eventually when you are done, the issue has been resolved. A signal will go back to 3DEXPERIENCE to close the loop and change the maturity state of the 3DEXPERIENCE issue. And I will show you what that could look like also in the system. So starting with 3DEXPERIENCE to the left, we have already created an issue, but we will continue to detail the information, set the correct priority, and also make sure that it's put into the right context by linking it to this engine control unit that we use as an example, as a reported against link. And we also add some documentation to document further and describe the issue. What is the problem? How can we solve it? So in the background, as soon as we push this to the first step in the life cycle, TIF will send a message to Jira, and we will very soon see the result on the Jira side. So if you look at the system dashboard and the activity stream in Jira, we can see that this issue has now been replicated into a bug on the Jira side, and we have certain properties, attributes being synchronized. We also have the attachment with us, and we can start the workflow on the Jira side. If you want to get access to the full detail of this issue, you can click. There's also a link provided so that you can open the issue inside 3DEXPERIENCE to review all the details and get access to the linked products and so on. Furthermore, there are also quite strong capabilities in 3DEXPERIENCE to manage redlining and markup, and quite often it is effective and useful to use visual ways of communicating rather than using text. So to further describe the issue, you can use the markup features that are there out of the box to point to the issues and describe in more detail what the issue is. And as soon as you save this markup back to 3DEXPERIENCE, the transfer will again happen in the background, and the image, in this case with the markup, will be transferred to Jira. So that's a small glimpse of the functionality that we provide. There are also many other capabilities that we can get back to in another session. An important aspect of when designing this solution was to make sure that it's really flexible, because you know that especially on the Jira side and in the software world, things are changing very rapidly. So there are new fields introduced, workflows are changing, and that's the reason why we have created also a very intuitive and easy to use administration console that allow you to change these mappings more or less on the fly, and without any deployment or restarting of the system. This is live and real-time updates. To summarize the key takeaways, this solution allows to bridge the gap between these key development platforms, 3DEXPERIENCE and Jira, to allow seamless collaboration between the software development team and the hardware development team, and keep track of issues and other activities across the boundaries between hardware and software development. Like you just saw, it has been designed for flexibility so that we can very easily and quickly adapt to changing schemas, changing requirements, changing business logic. By providing templates for common use cases, we think that we can offer a very short time to value, very limited development needed. You can deploy this instantly and get benefit from day one. And finally, and most importantly, this is all based on top of our very solid and proven integration framework. That is the perfect basis for developing any kind of enterprise integration. So by that, I conclude this session, and I encourage anyone who's interested in this topic to visit our booth in the virtual exhibition, which is also part of the Innovation Forum. So back to you, Marcus. And Tim.
Thanks a lot, Johannes. Even though we had some difficulties with the stream, we seem to be able to end on time. And I mean, for the ones that missed Johannes' super nice video in the beginning, we will secure that this one is available on the website.
It's already available in the exhibition area.
Fantastic. So I mean, thanks everyone. Thanks team. It was a great presentation. And I hope that I will see you later on in the coming sessions. And we will also end today with the kind of vision and roadmap and directions of our software. So that said, 30 seconds to go. We will close this meeting and you have the possibility to jump in to the next one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.